slid Pavlovich over to Hamilton. I think he felt he had to get size on it.
Oh, LeBron James drills it from downtown to bring the Cavaliers within one.
Why don't we just put 2 minutes on the clock and play? I mean, that's what it's come down to every game. Last possession.
26 points for James. Here's Phillips, lost it. And comes James. Wallace is back. James streaking, and he is fouled. Rasheed Wallace was turned around as LeBron put the speed on, and he will go to the line.
Well, interestingly enough, Eric Snow comes behind, knocks the ball out, and you cannot backpedal when you play against LeBron James. You have to sprint. Now he has to go to the line and see if he can make a couple free throws. How quick that lead is dissipated if he knocks both of these down.
Games 5 and 6 at the line. The foul on Wallace is third, so both teams are now over the limit. And the Cavaliers are killing themselves at the foul line.
This is more like the team we saw in the regular season. What were they, 29th, I think, in the NBA, and foul shooting about 70%.
Cavs are 2 of 8 at the line in the fourth quarter, and James misses both. This is after hitting all 5 of his free throw attempts in game 4 in the fourth quarter.
He had a lot of chance to put pressure on Detroit, put them down by 1, see what they were going to do under this kind of pressure.
And now you wonder, does he attack the rim late, in the last 2 minutes, having missed his last few?
Minute 40 left in the fourth. Detroit by 1. They double up on Wallace, try to get it down low. Pass intended for Maxiell, and again the Pistons turn it over. Pavlovich not even thinking about a shot.
How about Eric Snow? They bring him in and he gets 2 steals. The Pistons only had 1 turnover the entire second half.
Phillips on James. Shot clock to 5. There is good. A wide open shot from in close for good.
We've seen that shot all series. LeBron getting loaded up on defensively, just trying to pick the defense apart. Can't ask for much more than that. That little look from Drew Gooden.
Timeout is called by Detroit with 54 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, and the Pistons clinging to a 1-point lead. Here we go again. Final minute, fourth quarter, 1-point game. Cavaliers have a full and a 20. Pistons with 2 20s. Both teams are over the foul limit.
Well, this is where the Pistons really miss Antonio McDyess as an offensive player, but we go through it and we can see the team that has won the fourth quarter has won each game. In Cleveland, it was the Cavaliers the last 2 tonight, 18-17. A lot of game to be played. Question, Marv, is coming out of this timeout, where's Detroit going to go offensively to try to get a hoop?
See, I think maybe if Snow hadn't come back into the ball game, you would have seen Rip Hamilton run off some screens. They like that matchup with Hamilton and Gibson, but Snow has changed the defensive dynamic of this game now. His size he's able to guard Chauncey Billups. That slides Pavlovich to Hamilton, and Pavlovich can bother Hamilton. So I think you go to Rasheed down on the block. That's usually what Detroit likes to do.
Pistons have 12 on the shot clock. Billups played by Snow. Down to 5 on the 24. Down to 3. Wallace lost it. And the call by Ron Garrettson, last touch by Rasheed Wallace. 3 consecutive turnovers by the Pistons.
And again, Marv, they'd only had 1 the entire second half. Eric Snow knocks 2 balls loose. That time it's Verjao with good hands. That's exactly where they went to Rasheed. Remember, he fronted him in game 2. He faked the foul and he fell down, and Rasheed hit that incredible shot to win game 2.
Another opportunity for the Cavaliers to take the lead. They're down by 1. Maxiell defending on James. LeBron with the step back stuffs. 89-88 Cleveland. Here's Phillips from 3. Pistons 91. Cavaliers 89. Timeout Cleveland. Hesitation on the part of Chauncey Billups, who was questioned for several decisions that he made in the fourth quarter of game number 4.
You can't be scared. I mean, you know, you got to take big shots without fear, and that's why he makes so many of them. He missed the one in game 4 from about the same spot, although it was in transition. But what a huge shot after the LeBron James dunk. Sucked the life out of this crowd. Pistons back on top.
Here in game 5, yet another dramatic finish. As we flash back, remember game 1 of this series here at the Palace. Final seconds, Cavaliers down by 2. LeBron on the drive gave it up. Danielle Marshall, potential game winner from downtown, did not drop. Pistons won it. Game 2, closing seconds. Cavs down by 1. Here's LeBron on the drive. He missed. Larry Hughes with the open angle jumper. And Marajah had a tip, but the Pistons hang out and win it 79-76.
Now, Marv, how about the ramifications of that three of Billups? If he misses it, look at the shot clock there. They would have had to foul. The clock would have been turned off. They would have been down 1 and had to foul. What a big shot.
And now Lindsey Hunter in the ball game to guard LeBron James.
Down to 15 seconds. Down to 10. James with the step. And the game is tied at 91 with 9.5 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Pistons take a timeout.
LeBron James said that should have been an and one. He thought he got chested on that play, but you got to give LeBron James, I mean, a lot of credit. He misses 2 free throws, Steve. You wondered if he was going to go back to the basket. He goes back with a vengeance, back-to-back slam dunks.
And 4 guards on the floor for Detroit because Hunter came into the game for defensive purposes, but that left 1 fewer big men on the floor. This was 2 possessions ago after the Maxiell switch, and that's why Flip Saunders decided to get Maxiell out of there. He felt like if there was going to be a switch, he wanted a guard on LeBron rather than a big man. But then what happens? Once he gets into the lane, no shot blocking there, and LeBron has his way.
30 points for LeBron James, 11 of the 30 here in the fourth quarter. The last 6 minutes of this fourth quarter, the Cavaliers with only 5 field goals, all 5 by LeBron.
Well, he said, get me to the fourth quarter with a chance to win, and I will win the game. We'll see. Game tied here. Can Detroit find a way to win this at the end?
9 and 5/10 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Down to 3. Down to 2. Here's Billups for the win. And we head to overtime.
Whoa, that ball missed by about an inch or 2. And that was down, and it just rimmed out. This crowd was waiting to explode.
How about what a pro, though, Eric Snow is? The guy's been sitting on the bench. Gets put in crucial situations. He gets in the air, and he avoids a foul. Looked like Chauncey. Watch Chauncey pumps him in the air. He actually leaves his feet, but stays away from the foul. We've seen a couple strips and steals late. Eric Snow has helped get his team defensively into the overtime.
On the pregame, we were talking about how evenly matched this series has been when you look at the statistics. And coming into tonight, series tied at 2. How about tonight? Well, we're headed to overtime at 91 apiece. Cavaliers 31 field goals, Pistons 30. Look at free throw attempts. This game has been tied 9 times. 17 lead changes. Detroit did lead by as many as 8, and Cleveland at one point led by as many as 3.
Well, it looked like Detroit had pushed and got a nice cushion. And I thought LeBron, they were down 7. He drove in there and got a 3-point play opportunity that gave his team some hope. I thought it got them back and feeling they could win the game. And then the spectacular dunks, he hits a 3. I mean, he took over offensively, but Eric Snow, 2 steals, the defensive play on Chauncey Billups there at the end, helped get his team into the final, this 5-minute overtime.
Cavaliers ended regulation on a 10-3 run to lead to this OT. And the Cavaliers control. Snow remains on the floor, along with Ilgauskas, Pavlovich, Marshall, and James. Here's LeBron. And he was fouled. Pistons claim he was not in the act of shooting, but Bennett Salvatore with the indication that it was a shot attempt.
Remember that good rest that LeBron got to start the fourth quarter? He's got very fresh legs right now. We're seeing a very bouncy guy getting to the lane. Looks like he's going to go to the line and shoot two here. Let's see if he can rediscover that free throw shooting touch.
And you wonder if that call wasn't a result of maybe LeBron complaining at the end. But hey, I got bumped. That should have been an and one on the game-time shot with 9 seconds left. You know, it's, you plant that seed in the official's mind, and you know you might get the next one.
Steve, with experience of working the officials.
Not that I ever went to the line, but I saw other people do it.
Foul was on Prince, his fourth, and this time LeBron hits on both. So the Cavaliers now lead at 93-91. 5-minute overtime session. Marv Albert with Doug Collins, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager. We're at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Wallace draws the foul and then lands on one of the photographers along the baseline. Foul is called on Gooden. That is his fifth. So 5 apiece on Gooden and Ilgauskas for Detroit. 5 on Weber, 5 on Hamilton.
So you really need Ilgauskas out there if you're going to have Eric Snow, because if Ilgauskas fouls out, you lose an offensive player, and you have to come in with Verjao. Now you've got 2 guys out there that Detroit can sort of play off of. The only thing you would worry about with Verjao is getting to the offensive boards.
Correction, 4 on Hamilton. See the foul rundown. 5 apiece on Ilgauskas, Gibson, and Gooden.
I think now would be a good time for Flip Saunders to go back to that zone that has bothered Cleveland late in ball games earlier in this series. LeBron really has it going now. You've got Chris Webber on the floor, so Cleveland can put Webber in a screen and roll on the perimeter. And LeBron's rolling. He's getting to the basket. I think you got to change your defenses. That's your strength anyway if you're Detroit.
And you've got one less shooter out on the floor instead of Daniel Gibson. You've got Eric Snow for defense.
6 of 6 at the line, and the game is tied at 93. Gooden comes out to set the screen. Pavlovich. And he's called for an offensive foul. He actually had nowhere to go. He was hoping to draw fouls.
Very good move, though, by Flip Saunders to go back to this defense. Now you're going to make other guys make plays. But with LeBron at the top of the floor, they're trapping him. There's the play he calls it running over. So Detroit once again with the basketball and the chance to take the lead.
Wallace. And Pavlovich and Prince came together. Loose ball foul is called on Pavlovich. Non-shooting foul.
I think that may have been LeBron James. Yeah, the call was on LeBron. As Prince went up for that rebound, LeBron just got a little push on him just to knock him off balance.
It is the second on James. Here's Hamilton. Yes. 24 points for Rip Hamilton. Pistons lead 95-93. Here's James off the pass from Ilgauskas.
They took him off the ball that time in a nice play to put Eric Snow at the top and a little give and go that time. LeBron James with a beautiful cut.
34 for James. He scored 15 of the last 16 points for Cleveland. Wallace got the step and drew the foul.
Well, Doug, you talked about taking LeBron off the ball because sometimes the defense focuses so much on him, but when he has the ball, it's easier to contain him. You take him off the ball, run him back door, all of a sudden there's not nearly as much attention paid to him. Beautiful pass from Ilgauskas. I like that. I'd like to see Cleveland do more of that.
Foul committed by Drew Gooden. That is number 6. So he has fouled out. 7.6 rebounds for Gooden. Now Daniel Gibson checks back in, as does Anderson Varejao.
So it's sort of interesting when you bring Varejao in, you take Snow out because I think Mike Brown recognizes you got to have somebody out there that can shoot the ball. You don't want to have two guys that Detroit does not have to guard.
Wallace with his first miss after hitting for 6 at the line. Pistons by 1. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final. The series tied at 2. Game 6 back in Cleveland on Saturday night. And right here on TNT, 3 minutes to go in overtime. James met by the double. Shot clock to 5. Here's LeBron, and he is fouled.
LeBron's got to be very careful. No extracurricular activity. Remember, he's already picked up 1 technical. He's got to keep his cool. He and Rip Hamilton sort of bumped one another there at the end of this play. Watch LeBron now as he goes up strong. He's fouled. And watch at the end of the play here. Got to be very, very careful. Keep your cool now.
That was number 4 on Wallace. Game 7 of 10 at the line. Game is tied at 96. And Mike Brown doing some shuffling. Ilgauskas makes his return. So 16 of the last 17 Cleveland points scored by LeBron James.
Mark, you grew up with this, a little Red Holzman offensive defensive substitution here, so you should be well aware of this.
I'm looking for Mike Ridd to come out and give a foul. Just under 3 left in overtime. Wallace on the low block. Weber looks to save it and does. Another possession for the Pistons. Wallace for 3. Rebounded by Ilgauskas. Coming up on 2 minutes left in overtime.
You got your defensive players on the floor now, Bergeron and Snow, so not nearly as much shooting.
Shot clock to 6. James. Wallace rebound.
See, that's why he had to settle for that shot. Detroit 5 players in the lane. They didn't have to bother to guard Snow or Bergeron.
Prince met by Snow. They clear it out. Shot clock to 5. Prince. Phillips with the tip. And Pavlovich protects the rebound. Cavaliers take a timeout.
That's to get his offensive players on the court. Minute 37 to go. It's a big possession. You get a score, you get a chance to take the lead.
A minute 37 remaining in overtime. The game is tied at 96. It'll be Cleveland ball when we resume. But all LeBron, and I would think it will continue in that manner.
And I think you'll see Cleveland's offensive lineup back on the floor with Gibson and maybe Daniel Marshall. The problem there is if they don't score, you flip side, you go to the other way, and all of a sudden they don't have their best defensive players on the court.
And I think Flip Saunders would recognize that and not use the timeout. So he would say, just push it up and go. So this one, it gets fun from the coaching aspect of it, where you start, playing that little chess game.
Fun, did you say?
Fun.
Fun when you're the analyst.
Fun for me.
On the table here, fun.
Yeah, I wasn't having fun sitting over there.
LeBron James has scored 16 of the last 17 Cavalier points. Coming up big again in the fourth quarter. He had 11 in the fourth. Axial jumping out. And LeBron found that pass off the dribble for Bergeron was cutting. And fortunately for the Cavaliers, it was deflected out of bounds by Detroit.
I personally would not have had the guts to throw that pass.
High-risk pass.
11 on the shot clock, and Gibson could not find anybody, so takes a A timeout.
I never like my point guard throwing the ball in. He's too small to see over Tayshaun Prince. The most important thing in that situation is getting the ball in. Now you have to burn another timeout that is so precious. I like a guy with size that can make decisions throwing that ball in under pressure.
Now they only have one left, which could come into play, but you're right, tough to see over Tayshaun Prince, even if you're 6'6" or 6'7", but Gibson about 6'2".
People don't realize one of the biggest things on throwing the ball in under pressure is having the guy that can read that defense, see over it, and have the composure, to know when that's to take that timeout. So let's see who throws the ball in on this possession. I would have to think it would be a bigger player.
And as you mentioned, Steve, Cavaliers down to one timeout. It's a 20. Detroit has a full and 2 20s. And now it'll be Pavlovich on the inbound. 11 on the shot clock. Gets it into Varejao. Phillips went down, and Chris Saunders looking for a pushing foul on James. Here's LeBron flipping it up and draws the foul. Pistons wanted a charge. Instead, James, who was shaken up and had nowhere to go with a couple of Pistons in front of him, but he'll head to the line for 2.
I love the fact that he's showing no fear in attacking the rim despite his free throw troubles, despite some of the criticism he's received in the past. You've got to continue to attack, put the pressure on the defense, even if you miss the free throws. I mean, you're still in good shape in this game, but you got to keep putting pressure on that Piston D.
You see in the fourth quarter and overtime, Cleveland 5 of 13 from the line, Detroit 11 of 12. This is the play right there that they wanted to push off. No call in that situation, and then you drive the ball to the basket. Put the onus on the referees to make the call. That's the essence of plays at the end of the game. Referees love when you shoot jump shots, so they don't have to be in peril then of blowing the whistle.
LeBron is now 9 for 13 at the line, and the Cavaliers have a 1-point lead.
And the key here is rather than getting a bucket and being in transition, they go to the foul line. So now Mike Brown makes his defensive substitutions, and Cleveland in pretty good shape at the other end of the floor.
James hits both. 98-96. Cleveland with 1:15 left in overtime. Hamilton played by Pavlovich. Trying to squeeze his way, and then flipped it to Prince. Prince guarded by James. LeBron did a good job, and the pass ends up in the backcourt. It's a violation. Tayshaun Prince under pressure from the defensive play of LeBron James and turned it over.
And the worst thing that happens to Detroit is now you bring your best offensive player. So the last 2 possessions have worked beautifully for Cleveland. You see that LeBron James does a nice job of bodying out Tayshaun Prince, and Eric Snow plays the passing lane, bad pass.
I think that's been a huge theme of this series, Doug. Just the post defense of the perimeter players for Cleveland. Tayshaun Prince has not been able to get the same advantage that he had in that Chicago series and earlier against Orlando.
Down to 50 seconds left in overtime. Cleveland in possession, and they're up by 2. Here's the pick set by Varejao. Shot clock to 5. James has to fire and scores!
Oh my!
What a shot by LeBron James, off balance, shot clock running down. He had no angle, and he drilled it.
This has been some kind of performance by this young guy. All the criticism that this young guy took in the first 2 games, the last 3 games, in the fourth quarter, he has been spectacular. Still a lot of time to go, a 4-point game, but LeBron James, the superstar, growing up in the playoffs.
Cavaliers 1 timeout left. Pistons have 2. LeBron James, 39 points in all. He has scored the last 16 for Cleveland, 20 of his 39 in the fourth quarter and overtime. He scored 20 of the Cavs' last 21 points. Still lots of time left. 33.7 as you see that last shot by James to give Cleveland a 4-point lead. Still time left, but this has to be considered one of the great postseason performances of all time.
Eerily similar to the game they won here in regulation. They scored 101 points. LeBron had 41 in that game, and they came from behind by 9 in the fourth quarter to win.
Wallace draws the foul. It is on Parajau, so Rashid will shoot 2.
Well, that's important because he got the shot off with about a 6-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. So if he can make a couple here, Detroit does not have to foul. They can go back and make a stop and then set up a either game tying or game winning shot perhaps.
Cavaliers are over the limit. Next foul by the Pistons will put them over.
How quiet is it here right now? These Pistons fans, knowing that if Detroit loses tonight, they might not see this team again this year. Now, I know they were in this position last year and they won and it went and won game 6, but very quiet here at the Palace.
Game 6 in Cleveland. Saturday night, 8 o'clock start, Eastern time, right here on TNT. Wallace hits both. The Cleveland lead is 2, and a timeout is called by the Cavs. And that is their final timeout.
I would not have used that timeout. What happens now if you get trapped or something goes, or what happens if Detroit scores, there's 2 or 3 seconds to go in the game, you can't move the ball. You're coming out of a timeout here. You should be able to relay to your team what you want to have to happen. That timeout should be in an emergency for you. You don't need it right there.
Well, and with the 2 free throws from Rasheed Wallace, you had a good 30, 45 seconds of time to tell your guards what you want to happen here, how you want to approach this. But I agree. I mean, if Detroit ties this game, at the end, you needed that timeout to advance the ball.
And we saw here both games, 1 and 2, they ran out of timeouts and could not move the ball late.
6-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock with 30 seconds remaining in overtime. Cleveland with a 2-point lead.
Expect this half-court trap.
Cavaliers using the clock. Down to 5 on the 24. Here's LeBron to the fadeaway. This one comes up short and carries out of bounds. So the Pistons get it back with 6 and 6/10 seconds to go in OT, and Detroit calls for time.
Well, Cleveland never had anything going in this possession. They just wanted to run the shot clock down and get the ball to LeBron. And in this case, you can always talk about, hey, attack the rim. Easier said than done, but that shot wasn't even close. You get conservative in these situations, and it can come back to haunt you. Plenty of time now for Detroit to come up with a game-tying or game-winning shot. We're talking about a very young team here in Cleveland, and I don't think they handled that last possession very well, or the timeout for that matter.
Pistons with Wallace, Prince, Weber up front, Phillips, and Hamilton at the guards. Phillips with an opportunity to win it at the end of regulation, but not able to hit on his jumper. 6.6 to go. Here is Phillips moving on Snow and hit on a reach-in.
You see, Mark, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If Phillips makes both of these free throws, they can't advance the ball. There's 3 seconds to go.
A good move by Bill. Snow doesn't want to give up the 3, so he's going to play him tight. A little crossover, and then the reach-in from LeBron. A couple of pressure free throws coming up for Chauncey Billups.
He's only 4 of 7 at the line, but an outstanding free throw shooter. 88% for the season. It's a 1-point Cavalier lead. 3.1 remaining in overtime.
Now, does LeBron try the same trick that Rip Hamilton tried on him and that he tried on Arenas? So far, nobody getting in Billups' face.
I would think, coming off what did take place, there's always the danger, although it's unlikely to be called, but it could be a technical foul. The game is tied. Marshall looks to inbound. And here is Snow from center court. We go to a second overtime.
That's just mismanaging timeouts. Now, I'm not saying they would have scored, but at least they would have had an opportunity.
They would have been able to call for time and advance it to the front court. Instead, double overtime coming up.
Back in Detroit, heading to double overtime after Chauncey Billups hit 2 pressure free throws. And on the play, Cleveland did not have a timeout remaining, so they weren't going to be able to advance the ball. Watch what Tayshaun Prince does. LeBron tries a little spin move, and Prince stays right with him. That forces the ball into Eric Snow's hands. Cleveland never able to get anything as far as a good look at the hoop. So good job defensively by Prince, but again, it goes back to that, not having that timeout. Remember, they also called one when they couldn't get the ball inbounds underneath the hoop with about a minute to go. So the timeouts really hurt them.
So another 5-minute overtime session. The Cavaliers have never been involved in a double overtime.